Mr. Hadid, let's start with your own story, the story that your family passed down to you about the very early times of the occupation and actually where you were born.
I was born in Nazareth, Palestine, in 1948. I was born about 17 or 18 feet from where Jesus was conceived. 2 years prior, my parents and a few other neighbors have gone down to the harbor, saying that there are some refugees coming from Jewish families coming from Europe. Our house that we have, we've had for hundreds of years. My parents and my uncles and we surrounded us. We had two Jewish families that we picked up at the Haifa harbor. My mother's home was in Nazareth. When she had me, she went to her mother to have me. When she was about to have me, they go a month before. So I was there, I was born, and we went back, and I was 9 days old with my sister, Sana, who was at the time about a year and a half, 2 years old. Went back to Safed. When we arrived to Safed, apparently Safed was completely or partially taken over by Jewish population. My mother came to the gates of our community, which was like more of a Hadid quarters, to get into the house, and we were locked out. And she asked if she can have a blanket for me, as it was getting a bit cold. And they wouldn't even let her into the house to take a single photo or album she wanted to take with her of her children when they were very young, or family pictures, or her pictures when she got married. So that's kind of painful. But what caught my attention is what happened this time, that people were traveling from Gaza out. It touched me because I felt so attached to it because of what my mother have gone through. I didn't realize it because I was a child. I was a 9 days old child, but so I wasn't really, I didn't even understand what happened. I didn't even know how we got from Safed to the refugee camps in Syria, and then on to, in our life, to Damascus and so on. So this is when I saw that, it touched me deeply to see how difficult my mother had to go through to get me alive, to at least to a refugee camp.
Your daughters, Bella and Gigi, they shared their opinion about what happens in Palestine on their social media. And they look sensitive on the matter as well.
My kids always have followed their intuition when it comes to human torture, to human nature, what happens to the humans on Earth, from the disaster in Turkey to the famine in Africa and the homelessness in Southeast Asia. They have been involved in these things over the years. Building schools through UNICEF and so on. So it's always been a humanitarian issue in their blood. Nothing to do with just being Palestinian. Palestinian just happen to be that their blood is. They're half Palestinians, and they feel very close to the Palestinian cause. They heard about my story.
Do you or your daughters, because of your position in the Palestinian issue, get any criticism or blowback from your ideas or views?
We get threats. We have, I get a lot of hate mail, and they actually published our phone numbers online, and we start getting hate phone calls and threats, from death threats to major attacks, and they lashed at us, and we had to change our numbers and so on. So it's very painful to see that from people who are the only people that took them in, which are Palestinians. They took these families into Palestine to make a state out of their state, while others were expelling them from Europe and from Germany to Eastern Europe, Spain, everywhere else. Yet we took them in, and we invite them into our homeland. And I feel I always felt very uncomfortable, but it's not. Apparently, this is an agenda they have, which is the propaganda that somehow we are the evil, which we actually the opposite is true. That we were the kinder of the kindest of the people who were there when they needed us most.
And when people start to speak about Palestine, anti-Semitism, especially in the West, is a big deal. What do you think of anti-Semitism?
Well, the word is a European phenomenon. They use it themselves, anti-Semitism, because that was what they used to use in Eastern Europe and the West against anybody that came from that part of the world. Which is, I'm a Semite, so I cannot be anti-me. So they never can say I'm anti-Semitic, because I am Semitic origin. I was born in the land of Galilee. I was born in the land of Jesus. I was born in the land of where Moses came to from Egypt. So it's not like and where we Abrahamic family, they were cousins. We always felt that the Jews and the Jews, we have to learn Judaism as Muslims. We learned the Torah, we learned the Christianity as a Bible, and then we became Muslim by learning the Quran. The three religions came together. They might not feel that way, that they have their own God, but we believe that we have one God, and the one God for all the three religions. So we cannot be anti-them, and they can't be anti-us.
Being a refugee, born a refugee, since then, what is the most painful thing that you remember?
The most important, my mother at one time, her wish was to be buried next to her mother's body graveyard in Nazareth. And we couldn't get her to go there. They wouldn't let us take her body there. And the same thing with my father, and the same thing with my grandmother. My grandmother, she wanted to be as close as possible to Palestine. We buried her on the island of Rhodes in a mosque graveyard that my great-grandfather's brother have built in Rhodes. So that's as close as we can to have her close to Palestine. And so she died, and we buried her there. My mother, she was buried next to my father in Arlington, Virginia. So these are very painful times for me, as I wish I can be buried where I was born. And these kind of things can never happen. No one should be allowed to feel that pain, that he cannot never come back home where he was born, or never come back dead or alive.